Tony, oh yeah, record. Thank you.
Yeah, I just. Okay, Ryan, I heard you say the meeting began at 3:33. Sorry about that. We weren't recording. We are now.
So this is the acquisition and disposition committee meeting, and we have
August 11th.
a quorum.
Yes.
And present we have Jeanette, and Suzanne, Andrew, and Greg, Catherine, Tony, and two other numbers that I don't recognize.
Heather.
Pat Riley.
Hey, Pat. I was going to guess that, but I wasn't sure.
Okay, I finally got in. Thank you.
Very good. Tony, you've distributed meeting minutes. I've been away the last few days, so I haven't.
Yes, 2 sets of minutes, June 9th, and special June 23rd meeting minutes.
Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from the last two meetings?
This is Heather. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Jeanette.
Any discussion or questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Purchase applications, 899 River Street.
Yeah, that was withdrawn. The applicant didn't seem to be able to figure out how to complete the application.
That's not a good sign.
No, they really, I mean, I talked for a half an hour trying to explain the application, and once I got it, there were 21 or 23 things still wrong with it. And I asked them if they could update it in time for this meeting, and they just replied back and said they're no longer interested. And I said, well, if it's a matter of time and you want to work with me to help you get this application to where it needs to be, we can always have you come back for the August meeting. And they just said they weren't plain Jane, we're not interested.
Okay. We have a purchase option agreement before us for 806, 810, 812, 879, 881 River Street, and 102 West Glen Avenue. Is this the Beacon development project, Tony?
It is. So Kate and I had a conference call today with Beacon's attorney and Tim O'Byrne, who I think everyone knows except probably Pat. Tim's taking the lead for Beacon on this. And then we also had two people from Vesta, Peter, and I can't remember Peter's last name, Kate, and the attorney. So I will say that Kate really had the land banks back, and at this meeting, it was a gracious meeting, but it was a bunch of nuts and bolts that had to be talked through. And I'm glad that Kate was able to not only have our back, but also teach the folks on the other two sides a little bit about how to go about doing this, because I think she made the process easier for everyone.
What he means is we took him to school. So I'll just give you an update on this. Technically, we won't vote on the option today that you see in front of you, and I'll tell you why. So as you know, originally, Beacon was interested in the group of vacant lots that we have. So you see those right there on the agenda. In addition to that, there was a group B, which was 4 vacant buildings and 1 vacant lot. So that would be 814 River Street, which was the vacant lot, 809 River Street, 820 River Street, 834 River Street, and 3215 6th Avenue. So they have buildings on them. So what the issue is we, the land bank, have $293,000 from enterprise to use on this project to acquire, the properties, to put them together so that we can do this project with Beacon. So the interesting piece of all this is that Vesta owns 820 and what else, Tony? I forget.
Oh, boy.
I think it's just 820. But there's another one. All right. So 820 Vesta owns, and then Vesta's also interested in selling another parcel along with 820. So originally, this morning's discussion started out with, how do we best apply the $293,000 we have to acquire the properties? And of course, Beacon really wants to do the project and apply for their tax credits, yet they didn't want to have any skin in the game. They just wanted options on everything and wanted us to purchase the properties from Vesta with a lien on them because we wouldn't be able to fund the full amount. So I put the kibosh on that pretty early. And what we decided to do, because if I didn't do that, what would happen is if the deal fell through, we would jointly own a property with Vesta having a lien on it, and neither one of us would have enough funds to buy the other one out. So that wasn't a good idea, and it really was not in our best interest. And I really had a problem with Beacon not having skin in the game. So what we wound up doing, so that we're back to square one where we really should be, is to offer the $293,000 for the group of properties, the vacant lots as we were before, which are on the screen there. And that we would also purchase, I believe it's 814, 809, 834, right, Tony?
Yep.
And 3215. We would leave 820 River Street out. So that would be pursuant to what I negotiated this morning. Either Beacon would have to have an option with Vesta to purchase that one, or would have to purchase it outright from the get-go. So at least, Beacon's got some skin in the game, and they can deal with Vesta on that particular piece because we've spent our money already on all the other parcels. So what we left the meeting with was that we were going to revise the option agreement that we were supposed to look at today to include the properties you see on the screen plus 814, 809, 834 River, and 3215 6th. So we would have to purchase, because we don't own yet, 814, 809, 834 River, and 3215 6th. And we would purchase, which one from Vesta? Is it 834?
Vesta owns 820, 834, 814, and 809 at
Okay.
least. I'm just going through checking them right now.
Yep. So we would buy those from Vesta, and then Beacon would take an option with us to purchase all of them combined. So we're going to revise the option to include all of those properties. We also have floated the thought of a separate agreement to have them pay our holding costs and maintenance costs for those properties while we work out this project, because they don't go to their grant application for funds till December, and then they wouldn't know if they're approved until early May 2021, which means we may not have a closing to move forward on the project until September 2021. So we would hold these properties for almost a year. So I wanted to make sure that, we cover our costs if we're going to hold them, for this project. The upside of doing it this way is that if for some reason Beacon doesn't get funding, and it is a possibility, we hope not, but it is a possibility. I've seen other organizations not get funding. we will own all of those properties and can do, what we want with them. We can look for another development project. We can, discuss further with Beacon whether they're going to apply again for funding or how that's going to go. But at least we would own them free and clear with no liens. And, we'd have a pretty good assemblage there to put out to even an RFP to developers. What do you want to do here? Send us your, responses. So what we're hoping is that we get the other proposed option agreement from Beacon, maybe in time for the board meeting next week, but if not, it's okay that it goes to September. And then we will also have a purchase and sale agreement with Vesta for you to look at 814, 809, and 834 River Street. So that's the grand summary of how we're proposing to do this.
And Kate, Vesta does own all of those properties.
Okay, so we would be buying them from them. See, the trick was that Beacon did not want to come up with any cash to put into the deal unless and until their funding was moving forward, and they didn't want to pay it until the construction closing. So here Vesta and us stood with, we're little old nonprofits, like, why do we have to hold the bag for your project? So at least this way, we spend our money the way Enterprise and we envisioned it, and then we have those parcels if for whatever reason the deal falls through.
Right.
Okay. So what is the action before us? Is there an action before us?
No, because I don't have the new option agreement or the purchase and sale agreement. So I'm hoping to bring that back to A&D when it's ready, and then it could be on the agenda for the September meeting. I really don't think we're going to make the August meeting. So.
Okay.
Kate, was it the same attorney that we dealt with last time for Vesta?
Yes, Stephanie. Yep.
Okay, okay.
And Beacon is still very much engaged in their.
Yes.
Yes, I mean, they're, I have a feeling what, and if I was Vesta, what I would demand is, no, you need to buy the building up front, and we're not going to sit here for a year and not get paid because we really need to get rid of this building. So I have a feeling Beacon's going to have to pony up the 170,000 to close that deal, and then they would own that parcel, and then they have an option to get the rest.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Kate.
Thank you. So is the purchase agreement amendment discussion, is that what we just discussed, or is that the same thing?
I think this was just to provide an update of where things are and where they're heading and why.
Okay. Next on the agenda is enforcement issues for 822, 836, and 7085 River.
So that's me probably.
Yeah, just kind of an update.
Yep. So I requested title on these properties because, of course, we don't want to bring an action to recover them if there's outstanding liens and whatnot. We want to make sure it's free and clear. And if there are other liens and whatnot on them, I'd have to name them in the recovery action. So I'm still waiting for title to come back. It'll probably be another 1 to 2 weeks, mostly because with COVID, you still can't get into the clerk's office without an appointment, so things are still fairly slow. So, once I have those, I'm going to put together the petition to recover them, and I should have more of an update by next month, hopefully, of where we are with that. Tony, what's the progress on the Media Alliance? Do we know project?
I received over the weekend a 2-sentence progress report. And my recollection is that it said work had been suspended because the state hadn't come through with disbursement of funds, like a progress disbursement of funds. But that they have received their disbursement, so work has started again. I was hoping for more in the way of a progress report. So I think what I'm going to need to do is just, to satisfy enterprise community more so than anything else, schedule a site visit, take some photographs, and then we're covered as far as enterprise goes. Despite the lack of thoroughness in the report, I do suspect very much that it's going, as well as it can be for a state-funded project. That's my suspicion anyway, my expectation.
Yeah, I mean, I really would lean on them for that inspection. And if you have any issues, I can reach out to back out to their attorney. But I think, their attorney made Steve Pierce, understand that, we have to provide reports to our regulators and that, we have to do this. It's not that we're hassling him. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I don't think Steve will, give me any kind of problems with an inspection. We've talked about it in the past, so I don't expect there to be any problems. I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, there's just one example too where they expected funding for a project and it originally fell through. And that's what I was trying to avoid with Beacon, because you never know. I've seen community builders and others get denied grant funds in certain rounds, and it really blows up projects. And then, we would be left having a property that, there's a lien on. And I said, we're just not going to do that. So you need to figure it out.
Okay.
So, Brian, you jumped over a couple of agenda items.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay. It's probably because of my messy typing.
Property donation.
Well, actually, under 4B, 3325 6th Avenue, we have someone who submitted actually a very well prepared application. Now, 3325 6th Avenue, I'm not even sure if A&D is interested in talking about this application that much. As you will recall, the board of directors approved the sale to Edward Dunphy at the last meeting a few weeks ago. The realtor for the person, the last name is Darling, the person who wants to purchase it, asked if this application could be submitted as a backup, kind of a backup bid in case something fell through with Dunphy. I said, I'll ask A&D, but I also said I don't see any problems with the Dunphy purchase not going forward. So I don't know if A&D wants to entertain this as a backup or not. This is why I've never received this request before, so.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. It's just more of the timing. But now you're starting to see, as we begin to move properties, you have multiple applications on one property. And usually, and this is why we really should implement deadlines, so that if you had these two together at the same deadline, you could and should, pick a backup buyer. Albany does it all the time, So, I think here we're already under contract. So, I guess if it falls through, you could approve this person as a backup buyer. But again, you could also put it back out to market. So it's really up to you whether, you want to take a backup buyer right now.
So I'll just give you a little bit more detail about the nature of the application. This is a contractor who's been in business for quite a few years. His interest is to renovate the building and then sell it to an owner occupant. They're offering $20,000. The listing price was $20,000. The application, I didn't go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but the application did look pretty robust to me in terms of what was completed and the added information that came with the application. It seemed very well prepared. I have not done a credit terrorist criminal check.
I just want to mention the price is 25 is the list price.
Yeah, that's what I thought I said, Greg. The listed price was $25,000. The applicant is offering $20,000.
There's really nothing to do. Is there anything to do? I mean,
The first
we already have.
application, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Greg, go ahead.
The first application had a ton of caveats though. They had to do zoning, they had to do a few different things, didn't they? Is the other buyer just cash outright, no contingencies?
These are both cash.
Yeah, I know, but didn't one want to go to the city for zoning and some other approvals?
It's a one family use right now, and they want to convert it back to what they thought was originally two family use. So yeah, they would have to go back to they'd have to go to the zoning board for area variances, which are not that difficult to get, especially in the city of Troy.
Okay.
But Tony, being that there's no reason to think that the first offer is not going to go through, there's nothing really to do except maybe tell this applicant that, we'll call you in case it goes through, right? I mean, there's nothing to act on, is there?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Tony, we have a signed contract from Dumpy and I have the down payment, right?
Well, it goes to you, it doesn't go to me, so you would know
Yeah,
that.
he sent me the check, but
Okay.
not the contract. So I think we need to follow up on that and getting a signed contract from him, because you would have to countersign.
Yeah.
And then remind me to ask you about the other one if we got the contract back from Colin. But we've already approved this buyer. A contract's already gone out. He sent his down payment. So, right now we're contractually obligated to move forward with him. And there was no contingencies, I don't think, in that except for financing. So.
I thought they were going cash, but I could be wrong.
Okay. I guess what I would say is I would reach out to him and Colin that we approved last time and lean on them for the contracts, because if they don't send it, then we are going to move on, but I think what we should do, and Tony and I haven't had a chance for us to meet on the application itself, but we're going to go over the application and revamp some things. And you really need to, say on there probably that all applications for properties must be in a full month prior. The way Albany does it, and they, have the staff to do it, that's really the issue, is they'll put out an email that says, we have these 5 properties with offers on them that are going to the board next month. All applications for these properties are due by this deadline, so that everybody can be considered at the same time, so that you don't have this problem. So maybe on your application, you have to submit it such and such time prior to the board meeting that's coming up, or something like that, because otherwise you're going to continue, you're taking applications on a rolling basis, and you really can't do that.
Yeah, I usually ask folks to get me their application by Friday, before an A&D meeting so that I can take a look at it either that day or over the weekend and get a report out to A&D. But this just came to me actually yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think your initial reaction, Tony, to the application was, it's a done deal. You've already missed the deadline that we would be approving it.
Yep.
So, I just think we need to make that clear because people don't realize there's a deadline.
Yep.
The other contract that we did, Colin, what was the address on that? I forget.
24 McClellan, Colin Clark.
Okay. Do we have a contract back on that yet?
I haven't seen anything to sign.
All right. I'll make a note to follow up on both those.
24 McClellan, the girl had that realtor that went back and forth and resubmitted. We're not in contract on that?
I don't have a signed contract. I sent one, but I don't have
That
one.
was the one they were borrowing hard money?
Yeah, maybe that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah, they were borrowing hard money and we don't have a contract back yet.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Because that went out on a mortgage contingency. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking about.
Yeah, this was somebody that had a spotty type of a application, and then Tony tightened it up with the realtor and with himself for the buyer, and the buyer was going to go owner occupied, then changed his mind and said he was going to buy it to flip. 24 McClellan, the one family, and he had hard money, and he was looking to do it within the 6-month period.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
that was the other applicant, you mean?
No, that was the applicant.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's
That was. Yeah, we had a couple of different people that were hot to travel. We actually had an elderly woman come in to see Tony, very excited, blah blah blah. But I thought that person, the last A&D meeting, the one before this one, we went through and decided to take that offer. I didn't care one way or the next. I never met the person. I don't know the realtor. I never heard of her. But I just let it, I just thought that this was something that was going to be in contract. So if it isn't, then it isn't. But I do get calls from the MLS and realtors and people that see it on Zillow and Trulia that call me any time of the day or night. Hey, I'm looking to talk about this piece of property, especially 899. And sometimes, believe it or not, they think it's move-in condition. Is the power on? Is the water on? And I have to, ask them, where did you see this? It's listed as a shell that needs renovation. Now, having said that, not to vent, the McClellan, I thought that was under contract. I wish that I had known that this wasn't on contract. That this was not going through.
Well, you have to remember though, and I think, I get that you're falling into the you're a realtor, but we've approved it for sale. So I understand that it hasn't gone to contract, but that doesn't mean that, we would just back out of selling to that person without, trying to get the contract back and all of that. I'm trying to Google I'm trying to find the email I sent Greg, and I'll send it to you, that when we sent the contract to them.
I just texted the real estate agent and asked if the purchase contract has been signed.
I think, Nate, to back up what you said 5-10 minutes ago, we have to have a timeline, like we do standard contracts. We have to have a timeline.
Yep.
Because it's not fair to other people that, I tell them, quite frankly, I said, well, I believe that the A&D committee has accepted an offer to go to the board. We're welcome to look at it, but I believe we have a contract. Now, I'd rather not say that. I'd rather, if it isn't going to be in contract, I'd rather know so that I'm not telling people not to bother looking at it.
Kate does give them a timeline.
Yeah,
think the
usually
timeline
it's supposed to come back in 3 days,
Yeah.
and it hasn't.
I mean, these prices for these properties are so well, such good bargains. I think that people should be bound to certain timelines.
Yeah, generally, here, I'm sending this to you, Greg. I hold them to 3 days. And, quite frankly, if the realtor has questions and all of that and they call me, I tend not to speak with them because the reality is it's non-negotiable. And you're asking all these questions that, you should have known prior to,
Right.
making
Sure.
the application. And I just don't want to waste the land bank's time and money on taking that call. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the realtor blew up on the other side, blew up the other deal too. We've had that happen before. So, and I also think we need to make it clear. I think one of the things Tony mentioned changing on the application is it's one thing, Greg, when you're selling properties and we have a co-broke that we owe, but we don't want to just, roll over and pay realtors who come to us, with a buyer for properties that aren't listed through you, Greg, and have to pay them. You know what I mean? So we got to revise our application to take that out too. So definitely, let's see. I gotta make a note about the application. But I just sent you the contract and the letter, Greg, so you can see
Okay.
when it went and what the deal is.
Okay. All righty.
Okay, so I just want to be clear on what I heard about 3325. I'll get back to the real estate agent and let her know that if the Dunphy deal falls through, A&D will consider this application rather than putting it back on the market.
Well, technically it has to go back out,
Well, that's true, yeah.
But we certainly can, consider that application next if it were to fall through. And then like anything else, you can make a determination of whether to reject the deal and wait, that'll be up to A&D.
Yep. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly.
Yep.
That piece helped.
All right.
Brian, do you want me to jump down on the agenda?
Sure.
We have a property donation offer to acquire Mount Olympus, which if anyone, and most people.
That sounds exciting.
Well, it's more like Mound Olympus. It's
What would we do with it?
it's a shale outcropping between North Street and I want to say Glen Avenue on the east side of Fifth Avenue. It's a parcel that Gendron, who used to run a truck sales business mostly, and I think and a gas station, if I recall. I think when he bought that business way back when, he also had to take this parcel. His daughter is his power of attorney, and she went to the city and asked the city if they would take it. They don't want to lose it through tax foreclosure because they just don't want to be like that. So the city suggested that they approach the land bank, and I forwarded the two emails that constitute the actual formal donation offer. So there it is in front of the A&D. You guys tell me if you want to own a mountain. A very, 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 very small mountain.
Act like that.
Jeanette, tell us, what would we do with
I have no clue. No clue whatsoever. I mean, as far as I know, it's been the target of mostly graffiti through the years. Periodically, somebody, probably Gendron, went in and cleaned it up, but I don't know. You want to invest in a mini ski slope? No clue.
It's a shale outcropping.
It's a what?
It's a shale outcropping.
What does that mean?
It's just a mound of shale that was probably undevelopable because shale is rather difficult to
Yeah.
get a foundation into.
Hmm.
At least that's my recollection of the parcel.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just from a legal perspective alone, and I'm sure Greg could chime in if he really wanted to, you know, that kind of thing that was owned by a business and all that, I don't know that we would take that without an environmental study, which just wouldn't be worth it. But
Yeah, you do a phase one. Have the soil tested, have the place looked over.
Well, if we didn't take it, what would happen to it?
Well, then I think the Gendron family would be back to where they were when they were talking to the city. The city could take the parcel, or they could simply stop paying taxes on it, and then the city would get it that way. Or I suppose they could try to put it up for sale. I don't know that there'd be all that much interest in it.
Yeah. It's, do
I-
you have any brilliant ideas for it, Suzanne?
No, but it is an iconic part of Troy, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, well, historically, I'm not sure. It maybe it does have some significance, but in terms of a building lot or anything,
No, you can't really do anything with it,
no, it's
but
impossible.
you know, it's a Troy landmark in a way, natural landmark.
Yeah.
It's a shade of its former self. I mean, when they cut Fifth through the middle of it, they took the best part of it, but that was 100 years ago. So
I did check the city website to see if it's a local or state or national landmark, and it's not.
I mean, if it didn't cost us anything, I mean, I'm not on this committee, but I'm just saying as a Trojan and North Central person and a history nut, if it didn't cost us anything, I think we should get it just so that it prevents somebody from doing something bad to it.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. I
I'm
mean,
sorry my opinion here, but it just seems like totally crazy for us to just be so philanthropic.
well, I said if it didn't cost us anything.
Would there be an issue with insurance? It seems like an attractive nuisance, as they say.
Well,
And with people up there with graffiti, and we need some, kid falling off of there and breaking their back or something, and that'd be my concern with our liability. I don't know if that's an issue or not.
we would definitely have to insure it, but we do that with all our vacant lots. The cost per month is like $30 or something like that for a vacant lot.
Even if it's, I don't know, Tony, insurance costs are the same no matter what the property looks like. I mean, suppose some teenagers tried to scale the damn thing, which I'm sure has been done in the past, and somebody slipped off and broke their back. I mean, it just seems a little.
Oh, no, I hear you. I'm not a proponent of this. I'm just bringing it to the table because I was asked to. I actually was trying to think of how could this possibly be used for a neighborhood purpose? And I couldn't think of anything, but
It seems like the
That's not
kind of thing you'd
Here's
want to
tonight.
ask the community and say, what is there something? It doesn't mean that's something we could then fulfill, but it'd be nice if there was a conversation about it. Because maybe I'm kind of with you, Tony. I'm like, it's cool. I wouldn't mind climbing on it if I was, 15. but really, what do you ever do with it? And
Well,
I don't know, but maybe there's people with better minds than mine that have great ideas.
I would think that it would be a good publicity thing for us if we owned it you know, to have a campaign to what do you do with it, et cetera, and get our name out there from a marketing perspective.
And give it to them?
Well, maybe, I don't know, but you know, it would be something that would certainly get us a lot of publicity because it's
I'm not
a
sure
Troy,
that's true.
the Troy icon.
You know, well,
Can we change the name to Landmark Mountain? Or Land Bank Mountain?
Yeah, picturing like it's like the Hollywood sign, right? It'll be just Troyland for sale. I don't know.
The reality check is, do we want to pay the money to do a phase one? And if there's something wrong, are we gonna go to phase two?
Well, maybe what you could do is make it subject to the donor to have that done. They were a little apprehensive about taking this on because of the liabilities.
Right,
Put it
And
in
if-
their court.
and if we find something, then they're on notice and they're stuck with it.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, why not?
I forget, phase one is what? I don't know, $1,000?
They- Well, it depends on the size of the lot and how you have to get to it. I mean, this is a,
good luck with that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but,
phase
you know, I
or like
Pardon?
$5,000. $5,000 for a phase one. That's what I've been paying.
well, it depends on who's doing it. I think it's something to look into. I mean, is that rude to ask the donor if they could, you know, just certify that the property's free and clear of any, you know, chemicals or spills or anything like that? I know it's public record, but would it be kind of, you know, I don't know, would it be rude to ask them to do that? I don't know.
Well, given they ran a gas station and a truck sales center, I think they would be familiar with that kind of a.
Because I know there was a ton of, you know, different investors, not a ton, but different people in my business, the commercial end of things, that there was brownfield money available. And people were making money buying these properties that were dry cleaners or car washes or, you know, gasoline places, petrol places.
If it's
but,
otherwise developable, yeah.
Yeah. And in the end, and then they could take either tax credits if they put the money out, or there was brownfield grant money, free money available to clean the lots up.
Well, are they donating just the mountain or the entire lot that includes the gas station across the street? Because
That's owned by someone else.
Because the mountain itself has nothing on it,
Right.
such as it is.
They're
And then across the street, the mountain was bisected by 5th Avenue. And so on the right side, if you're going north, you've got that mound of shale. And then on the left side, there's a garage. So the garage is not part, and a gas station. That's not part of the property that they're donating?
No, it's just
the
parcel
mountain.
that encompasses Mount
Just
Olympus.
the shale pile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any resolution here?
So am I hearing the committee say that if they're willing to do phase one environmental, that A&D would make a recommendation to the board to accept it?
I'll motion on that.
Do we know how large it is?
I can tell you.
We have the tax map info.
Do you want me to log in? I'm on my computer.
Yeah, I'm on Google. Oh, I'm not on the county website.
You want me to get in my secret database?
I just jumped on the wrong website. Sorry.
That's okay. What's the Do you have the tax map ID there, Tony, or no?
It is 90.78-5-24.
All right, do that again. Do you have a street address? Does it have a street address?
No, it doesn't. I tried to find one. I couldn't. It's tax parcel 90.78-5-24.
Yep, okay. All right, it's located in the oh, I know this property. It's located in the B5 zoning district. It's 0.91 acres, just shy of an acre of land.
Just
Zone B5, it has, yeah, it's a good size.
Hard to find an acre in the city.
How tall
It's
is it?
really hard. Hold on a minute, let me see, 24. Go a little deeper.
Not that it matters, really.
And it has frontage on, it's on Fifth Avenue. And it also has that alley behind it. So it's a
really
good
the
size, it's a
alley.
good size lot. Let me see.
I don't believe there's any frontage on Fifth Avenue. It's,
I'm kind of looking at it. It's got a lot of frontage on Fifth Ave.
Yeah.
The outcropping on Fifth Avenue?
Yeah.
Yes. Got quite a bit of frontage on Fifth Ave. It has, hold on, let me zoom in.
It's across from the car wash place, correct?
Kitty corner.
Yeah.
304 feet of frontage. And it's zoned B5. I think it's definitely worth looking into.
basically a big rock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shell outcropping.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it has any value from the utility, like a, solar farm or wind generation, or I don't know, cell tower.
I'm gonna email this photo to everybody. Let me pop in my email.
I mean, did you just change the font on the agenda or something?
Not intentionally.
It went all blurry. I think you just lost some detail if your connection slowed down or something.
Let me try it.
It just got a little better.
Oh, it just said a pause for some reason. Let me bring it back.
All right, I just emailed everybody an aerial of it.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Let me try this. Oh, this doesn't do justice. Brian, I think your idea about solar might have some legs. I don't know what else you'd use it for.
I don't think I've gotten the, are you looking at the aerial?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
I haven't gotten it.
well, I'm on Google Earth, so I'm looking at the street view, and it's
I can do that.
It,
I'll do that.
the mound is very irregular.
Yeah, I'm looking at the street view too.
Yeah. See if I can shoot this over.
I'm going to the Google Earth.
Yeah, I'm gonna.
I know where it is. Yeah, I'm there. Okay. I don't think I've ever walked around it completely.
It is possible to chisel it all away if someone really wanted flat space. But I don't know. I can't imagine what would be worth the cost of that. I mean, the gas station on Hoosick chisels out an extra 20 feet. That's the Sunoco there, right at the bottom of Hoosick. I forget when that was, a couple years ago. And
I just emailed Google
Solar
Earth
farm would be a
image
great
of it.
idea.
What's that?
I just
A
Googled
solar farm would be a good idea. Oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. We're good.
Yeah, you have to create a plateau. It's interesting.
Also, it does have a street address. That's weird.
Be a nice place for a park.
A different kind of park.
Sledding, skiing.
The shot that Heather sent, it looks like Mount Olympus is cut into more than one tax parcel.
Oh, I just got Heather's. Yeah. Yeah. It can, I'm sure something imaginative can be done, but it would cost money. So, all rock removal, do anything on it.
I don't know, Tony, if it's a possibility, and I'm just off the top of my head, but a lot of times if we're going to take donations, we might say, it might need remediation. Are you willing to make a cash donation as well to cover the cost of that? I don't know. I don't know what's possible, but
would that be a tax write-off, Kate?
the cash
Someone?
part would, yes.
Because that might entice somebody with a business to do so. It's it's philanthropic, but it's also good business-wise. And it's right unload a piece of property that might have some, some environmental issues. So.
Right. I mean, if it has environmental issues, they're not going to be able to sell it or give it away either. So, I think your point, Greg, about, is there grant funding available? Do we go a different route to create a pocket park? I don't know, whatever the project is, but,
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be able to take care of and remediate that property without really thinking this through. And it certainly could be something the land bank would be capable of doing, but we just, it's going to cost some money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And is Gendron's actually sold the property that he had his truck business on to some other business that currently is occupying the site. So this must be the last little piece of rock that maybe is in the estate or something.
Probably. Would the resolution make Heather queen of Mount Olympus, or she's gonna kill me? But it's just so funny, that's really what they call it. But that's an interesting.
I could not get my mute off fast enough to reply to you. Could not get it off fast enough. I have a headache from my crown. It's too heavy today. I can't handle it.
We'll get you a robe, so you look like one of the Roman.
Yes, and a scepter.
Yeah.
That other piece on top of it is, does not have the car lot. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's two, like if you go north, there's two more pieces. There's another 0.45 acres that's owned by not the same company that owns the one that I looked up. And then the other one above it that's got, located on the corner, that belongs to people on the other side of the street where all the cars are. So just for a little background.
Yeah, thanks. I was wondering about that.
So what do we do here?
Maybe table it and let them know.
I'm not uninterested. I think that something really cool could happen here, but I do think we need just to make sure that we're not picking up a toxic dump site.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that we are, but.
Well, why don't I don't think they're in a rush. So why don't I just engage them in a deeper conversation about it and come back with a report?
That sounds like a good idea.
And then in the meantime, everyone can think of possibilities for the parcel.
Right.
All in favor?
I don't think that requires a motion, but is that what A&D would like me to do?
Yeah.
I definitely, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I, executive committee is supposed to be starting up now, but can I ask one question that's not on the agenda? Hopefully it won't take too long.
No.
And what about 791?
Okay, I'll take that as a
Queen
yes.
has spoken.
I'm gonna.
At 806 River Street, we had a tree that fell down in one of the storms about 6 weeks ago, and it destroyed the neighboring fence and the next property to the south, that fence as well. So the person, there's a vacant lot in the middle that's owned by the building that's the furthest south. And that property owner has asked if the land bank would be willing to share in the cost or somehow contribute to their removal of the tree. They have no insurance on the vacant lot. So Kate and I have talked about this before, and I've talked to our insurance folks about it. The liability rests with the property owner, not with the property owner that the tree was located at. So I'm not sure if that's something we'd be interested to do. I have no cost on it, but just in concept, I'm not sure if that's something we'd want to do as a good neighbor kind of thing, or if we, or if that would be considered a gift and therefore we can't do it, or if it's something that we just don't want to set a precedence on. I'm just throwing it out there for conversation.
Did we get any cost estimates?
Oh, that's what I said. I have not gotten cost estimates. I did ask the applicant to do that, and I haven't spoken with him in about a week. So I do owe him a return phone call. So he may have a figure for me.
Well, until I know.
So sounds like one member of A&D would like me to find out what that number is and let the person who wears the crown know.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it. It's just, you know.
Brian, the crown looks really good on you.
That's fine.
Okay. Sorry, you didn't have that on the agenda. Jeanette, you're okay with that path?
Sure. I just am more curious about 791, actually.
Okay, what can I tell you about that?
Any progress?
Yeah, there's a bright red siding that's going up, brighter than I think we'd like it to be.
It looks pretty good. It's gonna be fine.
The siding that has gone up was back ordered, and I'm hearing this more and more from a lot of different people. Construction materials are very hard to come by because of COVID for a whole bunch of different reasons. I think the supply chains for a lot of different products, you know, one kink in the supply chain and everything gets delayed. So I think that's what's happening with a lot of the construction materials. So the siding was supposed to have gone up about a month or maybe 6 weeks ago, and it's just gone up. The storefront has been ordered, and I think I was told it would be here in about 4 weeks. They're still doing work on the interior. Actually, the interior is pretty well ahead. Everything is sheetrock, tape, painted. I think I was told that they're starting to trim out, which means doors and windows. Well, the windows are in. Doors would have to be in. The city has that COVID-19 grant that I submitted an application for, and I submitted 791 to upgrade its HVAC to include ultraviolet light and a HEPA, what they call a MERV 13 filter. So that's something I should mention.
Say that again. There was a grant for a filter for the hot air system?
Yeah, well, the city of Troy has a HUD grant. It's called the HUD COVID-19 grant.
Okay.
And it's for a number of different types of COVID remedies.
Okay.
One of them is money that can be used to upgrade HVAC systems to better combat COVID. And so I've asked the architect of 791, and I've asked SEAT to check into, you know, what's available. And what I'm hearing back is ultraviolet light is believed to totally eradicate the virus. So if you put an ultraviolet light element in the ductwork,
right,
it will kill COVID. The HEPA filter, which is MERV 13 quality. It's not the highest quality, but it's high enough where it captures the virus when the virus attaches itself to larger objects. So the two together, should do a pretty good job to keep things.
Well, that sounds awesome. That sounds really great to have that as a feature.
Yeah, no, I thought the same thing too, especially with the potential public space on the first floor. So we're moving forward with that if we get the grant for 791, 11 Winnie, and 54 Fifth Ave. And the grant does not sound like it's competitive at all. Actually, the deadline was Friday. When I went to submit it, I saw that the city extended it a couple or 3 weeks. So it's kind of like the PPP. If you qualify and they still have money, you get it.
Right.
So, so anyway,
That sounds great. That's awesome.
Yeah, that should be a big marketing feather right about now. So anyhow, that's
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, I should say also, Jeanette, that we have builder's risk insurance, and we have, continued to extend that month after, well, I should say period after period after period. The insurance broker said, okay, we're going to give you one last extension. I called the architect and said, look, give me a conservative last date. I don't care what it is, because I'm not going to be able to get this insurance once I renew. And he said September 15th. So,
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Keep everything crossed.
Yeah. So that's 791.
Thanks.
3325 6th Avenue was completed yesterday. So that's 100% complete, which is a good thing because we're on the way to selling it. And work is still continuing on 3229 6th Avenue and 11 Winnie by Johnny Bobo. With 54 Fifth Avenue, SEAT needed to get some additional stabilization drawings and specs from Russ Reeves. He delivered those Thursday of last week. So now it should be into City Hall for code enforcement to issue a permit for that work to be able to begin. I have a weekly check-in call with SEAT tomorrow morning. So we'll be discussing it some more.
Okay. Got all the updates on projects, Tony? Projects and properties?
Yep, that's what I can think of. Have no new offers on 103 Ferry, 899 River Street. I have to figure out how to spend $40,000 to improve that, to make it more marketable. And
I have a guy named Kevin Ryan, who's a plumber contractor. Ryan Air is the name of the company. They do hot air duct work.
Uh-huh.
I told him, he just put a bathroom in for me, and I was telling him about, the property and that goes with it. He's very interested in that. I'll follow up with him. This was about 5 days ago. I didn't know if he was going to call you or not. And I also had another person that inquired about that, and I mentioned about the 40,000, and I just said for her to give you a call. I gave her your number. That was over the weekend. I don't know if she called you or not. And 103 Ferry, Stephanie, the woman that was interested in 103 Ferry Street, whose kid goes RPI, she was going to have a structural done, but I think she inquired possibly about getting the water turned on and or the electric on the first floor so that they could look around the basement and the first floor and test a few things. She knows it needs work, but she sold a piece of property in the city and has the funds to do it, I guess. And she spoke to you before. She spoke to you for a while, you said, Tony.
Oh yeah, no, we spoke.
Remember?
Matter of fact, she texted me just before this meeting and asked if she could talk to me tomorrow. So
yeah, she's very interested. I showed her. I was there, with the son, and they seem like real stand-up people. So
yep, agreed.
Hopefully something will happen with that. And the other thing is, when it was first listed and being shown, I never went up on the roof. And because it looked like the roof had water damage and the skylight was, covered, and it was a mess, I actually went up on the roof about a month ago with a buyer. I went up first, and he was like, well, if this guy can go up, I'll go up. It's a beautiful black rubber glue down roof. So that property, if anybody knows anybody, that is an absolute gem of a house with a beautiful glue down roof and a great location. Really, I can't believe it hasn't sold yet.
Yeah,
If I was
I
a
agree.
realtor, I would buy it myself for full price. It's a no-brainer. We just have to get that power on. It's been cleaned out. It looks good. But if we could just, even if we had the funds to tweak where, the stains are, I think we'd get some offers in there. And when the weather gets a little cooler, maybe in September, if it isn't sold, I'll do an open house on a Sunday, or maybe even during the week when people are walking around.
What address was that?
That's 103 Ferry Street.
Oh, okay.
That's Route 2. That's just between Russell Sage and RPI. It's a great location. And then there's a shell that's for sale for $245,000, just the other side of the alley. And if somebody buys that and does those storefronts over, that whole block is golden. Because you've got Sun Hee down the street, the lady with the Vic Christopher's girlfriend, I guess, that has the restaurant there. She does quite well. So that is a great little location, though. If anybody knows anybody, it's a super location and a great little house.
Okay.
Are we all set? We have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everybody.
4:46. Okay, I'm going to flip on the Zoom for executive committee. So
I'll need 2 seconds and I'll be right back. Do
Okay.
I stay on the same line or?
no, I've got to flip it to the other Zoom meetings. So
Okay.
sorry about that.
No, that's okay. I'll call in. Bye.
Okay, so we should leave and then check into the other one, right?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, no problem.